Good afternoon, Bravehearts, and welcome back to the Doc of Detox show. I'm Dr. Darryl Wolf, and this is DocStar TV. And today I'm with Oliver, and you know what? How's this for refreshing? Now, when I say these things, I know that some people are going to go, here he goes again. Oh, yeah, well, there he goes. The reality is we're going to be talking today about the most powerful medicinal mushrooms on the planet. And I want you to come on here and I want you to challenge Oliver and myself and go, that's not true. I know of one that I take and it's way better than yours. So we're going to go through and we're going to talk about what mushrooms do in the body, because they have a certain effect that people don't understand. They go in and they challenge the immune system to be better. Not a lot of products do that. So you need to get this. Other products don't do this. That's where mushrooms, they're different. And they challenge the immune system to become more, much more, unlimited potential even. Now, I'm going to bring them on in a couple seconds here, but just know this. Before you challenge us, just know this, that our shrooms, okay, are grown in the wild. They're 30 years young to 90 years old. They're not 6 weeks and grown in a laboratory, okay, and just factory farmed out. This is the real thing, okay? And they grow on trees, and they grow in Asia. And we're the first people to ever carry these medicinal shrooms, okay? Mushrooms, I can't say shrooms, I say that, we're gonna lose the show. Mushrooms in North America. So I'd like to welcome Oliver to the show, and I wanna thank him and his mother that opened my eyes up to what we call thundershrooms. Hi, Oliver.
Hi, Darryl. Great to see you again.
How you doing?
I'm well, thanks. It's a little bit late here. It's just going on midnight 30. But you know, feeling good, charged, and ready to have a chat about thundershrooms.
Yeah.
I think I had an extra dose a few hours ago. Hopefully that will carry me through. And yeah.
Well, I'm sure it will. And I just want to say this, everyone, that you know what? I'm going to tell you, it's called patience, because it has taken us, okay, since the time we said that we would actually introduce the thundershrooms. We are 6 months, not late, overdue. I call it overdue. Now,
6 months busy.
Yeah, the reality is you got to get this. Whether you want to believe this or not, the more powerful something is to heal, the more that they're going to make a big deal and try to stop you from getting it to the people. So that's the deal. So we finally pulled it off. And understand, I'm going to say this right off the bat, that thundershrooms are not inexpensive, but they're not expensive for what you're getting. And this is not a sales pitch. If you want the best, you come to us. If you want the rest, you go somewhere else. And that's the deal. I cannot tell you how much that we've played with things and tried to keep the costs down, but understand something. You're talking about grown in the wild, 30 to 90 years old. And Oliver, take it away and set the stage, would you?
Great. I mean, you've touched on so many things that you can hear me okay? Everything sounds all right?
You sound great. You sound better than me, which, you know, I don't like it, but
Well,
okay, I'll go with it.
You know, you touched on something which is really good, which is that good things come to those who wait. And especially in the natural world. You brought up a lot of really cool parts early on about the fact that these thundershrooms are wild grown, and today that has a cost, because most everything you see on shelves are grown in a rush, and there's a reason for that, because the faster you grow something, the faster you can put it in a capsule and fill the bottle, put it on the shelf, move the shelf, refill the shelf, and repeat the cycle. But the thing with natural, well, okay, I can't generalize, but in mushrooms in particular, is that they are living creatures which have a very long lifespan depending on the species. So there's been, I mean, it's kind of a bit of a golden era for mushrooms now, because there's been a lot of more mainstream coverage on like how mushrooms are very special communicators. They can communicate with each other in some type of special fungal language via some network thing. So I mean, yeah. Mushrooms they're interesting. They're definitely more interesting than, say, well, plants, which are a bit more simple as far as their structure and the way they interact with humans when we eat them or when we extract their compounds. But fungi really have a special role. And because of the way, just their biological nature, these particular shrooms that are inside thundershrooms, the species is called felinus species. And that species gets stronger as it gets older. So we're leaning on the research of over 2,000 published research papers done over 60 odd years now in Japan, Korea, and China, where the mushroom is recognized for its medicinal potential and is made into a variety of extracts from food, actual capsules and medicinal preparations, and also just general consumption as soups, as food preparations, teas, and coffees. But depending on the extraction method, you will yield a different concentration of the active ingredients. And with these shrooms inside thundershrooms, the older they are, the more powerful and the more complete their structure becomes, and also the chemicals inside them that form naturally. There's a wider spectrum of these beneficial compounds. So it really there's a sweet spot when we talk about extracting the compounds that naturally occur inside these mushrooms. There's a sweet spot as far as age of the mushroom. And this is again not done by me, but this is done by the professors who I've learned with, that above 20 to 30 years old, the mushroom really reaches this sort of like powerful medicinal maturity age. And above that age, the benefit that we can derive from it is much, much higher, like many more times than 30 years longer than versus a 6-month or 6-week-old lab-grown fungus. So there's a very steep curve as the mushroom gets older, in which its benefits become really much more powerful for humans. So that's already been established in traditional Chinese, Japanese medicine as the optimal age at which to extract the beneficial compounds from the mushroom. So in that regard, that's why they have to stay on the tree for 30 years. I mean, we have got many labs doing research on what we call cultivated or lab-grown mycelium of the mushroom, which is almost like the roots of the mushroom, but not the body of the mushroom. And that can grow very fast in a petri dish or a lab, but the medicinal effect is very limited. So I think one thing that Daryl, you've really picked up on is that you don't want to really waste time with when people come to you for help. They really need something that you believe is going to work X amount of the time. And so the way we use the mushroom extracts is we only bother. Sorry, Daryl.
I just want to say this, and I want everybody to get this before we go any further. And second best is not good enough. Second best is not good enough. And I'm going to tell you why. We're going to look at least 70, 80% of the population being V'd. Not once, not twice, not 3 times, not 4 times. Now they're talking about every 9 months and maybe every 4 months. Now let's forget about that. Let's say that all the scientists and the medical scientists out there are right, and there is such a thing as shedding. Second best isn't going to cut it anymore, everybody. So that's why you go ahead and you take a look at the products that I carry. I knew this was all coming. And understand something, this is called the human harvest. Okay, you've got the mushroom harvest that we do. It's very medicinal. I don't think the human harvest is very medicinal, do you? The reality is people have been harvesting, the elite have been harvesting us. This is not a political show, so understand this, but been harvesting us in the beliefs that they made us believe, that medical is actually natural health. Understand something, and that the food that you buy is actually good for you, and that the things you think are actually as good as it gets. The reality is we cannot take second best anymore. My products are not for people that do not have value. My products are not for people that do not want the best. My products are not for people that don't unconditionally love themselves. And understand something, that the next 2 years will be the biggest immune test in our history. You make it through this next 2 years, and that's the way it is. So understand something. This is very selfish of me, but the reason why I have the world's best mushrooms is for myself and my family, and I'm sharing them with everyone else. So you need to understand. So when people say to me, Daryl, they're so expensive, well, really? Then take something that isn't like this, because what you're paying, even the bottle, look at this. Look at that. Look at that teeny little bottle, okay? All right, but in actuality, whether it's critical care or the daily care, there's a month's supply. So it's not how big something is, okay? All right? It's not how big it is, it's how potent it is, okay? Oliver?
Absolutely. And I just to pick up on what you said about second best, just to give maybe Daryl, can I just confirm we're gonna have another chat again soon because I don't want to.
Wednesday at 12 noon, this Wednesday, 12 noon, 12
Okay,
o'clock
great.
your time. So maybe you just don't even want to go to bed, just stay up until then.
So maybe okay, just so I manage I'll actually get into how I really found the mushroom because
Yeah.
I didn't start out life as a mushroom scientist. My mother was ill, and well, they told her she was really ill, and she did a lot of really damaging treatments, and um, we we didn't just when I say we tried a lot of things to get her back to her optimal health, that means we spend a lot of money trying different things. And I tell you what you're going to spend a lot more on than the stuff that works is you're going to spend a lot more on things that don't work. And you only find out they don't work after you've already spent the money on them, right? So we talk about second best. This is actually something really quite close to me because the reason I found this exact mushroom and Dr. Frank Chan, who's the founder of the company that makes them, the reason I found them is because I was exactly looking for that. We had tried for 6 or 7 months following aggressive chemo and radiation to find anything that would restore her immune health, her appetite, her basic cellular regeneration, as you can see in skin and hair and all this type of stuff. It just wasn't coming back. So at that moment, it really was second. There is no, nothing's working. There is no second best. There isn't even a second. There's not even a first. So when we found the mushroom and we heard from Dr. Frank, who was there with some people who had also had similar pretty rapid recoveries, it was a no-brainer. We had to try it. And so when we had our first try, and Serena, my mother, she had her first dose of a very high dose, and Dr. Frank said the same thing that you just said, which is, listen, he said, how much do we need to take? How much do we need to buy? For this serious critical condition, in her case, she was really at an advanced stage of immune sort of destruction, really. He said, look, he said the same thing you just said, Daryl. He said, it really depends on if you think you can value yourself to be worth the very best. Because if you think you are, I've got this, and he told us exactly how much she needs to take, for how long she needs to take it. And she didn't hesitate, of course, said yes. Right? Didn't even think about, is it even feasible? How are we going to get the thing overseas? How are we going to ship it or pay for it and all this type of thing? And it doesn't matter. It's like when someone knows something is for them, they got to have it. And that belief was right. We tried it, and within the first day, not even overnight, within the same day, we saw her strength return from say 20% to 50 or 60%.
Oliver,
it had been.
Can I break in? How many was she taking that first day? Was it like 40 capsules? Because usually it's 2 capsules a day. So, right?
Yes, so that's right. So that's her individual case was a very serious case. So I think she was taking 24 at that
24?
time.
Okay, all right.
And that was really, for really serious, or I would say, I don't really know whether it was the actual cancer or the treatments themselves, but either way, the immune damage was severe. And so as if we don't get to the science of the mushrooms this talk, I'll definitely go into it. But the main thing to take away is that it's like dropping a firecracker inside your immune system and just waking everything up. And that's the best way I can, it's calling in a personal trainer to your immune cells to whip them back into shape after they've been destroyed or they've been eroded or degraded, and especially from radiotherapy, chemotherapy, all the things we do to poison the disease out of us by adding more poison, that needs to be taken out as well. So that is a long process, the detox process for someone, especially they've got accumulated chemicals from metal toxins from the chemo and everything. It take a long time. So that's why we were maybe a bit disillusioned, expecting something to change so rapidly after 6 months. But that's also why we're so grateful when, after 6 months of no progress, we moved on to the mushroom and found instant results. Was really, okay, there's something here. This is something very special. So, cut a long story short, I went to Thailand. I met Dr. Frank. I met all his professors from, 20 of the leading professors from around Japanese and Korean universities, Hong Kong, Thailand, Singapore, and their credentials are just like stacks of papers. And thought to myself, why doesn't anyone know about this mushroom? And it's really because they don't need to share it because it's so highly prized. It's rare. You have to grow it for 30 years to get the medicinal effects. For things like coffee, food, soup, and soaps and things like that, you can grow it in the lab and you'll have some like a food supplement type of effect. But and that's probably where I want to just step in also something you said at the beginning of the show, which is that you are the first people carrying with thundershrooms is the first version of this species of mushroom in North America. And that's true. And that is true. And the reason for that is because it naturally grows in Asia. It's more of a tropical, subtropical mushroom. So the ones that you find more common in North America are they also have medicinal mushrooms. Fungi are a powerful species that dominate the earth, but the ones in the colder climates that they have a different sort of spectrum versus the ones in the hotter climate, and the ones that you have here, whilst the same species can be found in like blends, you might find some like magical immune blend mushroom tea or something, and it will have a tiny speck of this in there. But this is and when they put the species in there, the other thing about mushrooms and all natural extracts is there's no FDA that goes around and says, okay, if you say you're this mushroom, how much percent of that mushroom are you, or how much percent like sawdust or some other filler are you? And so in the food supplement world, which is where this falls in the US and North America, is that there's not really any standards for that. Whereas in Asia, when we extract natural products, we actually have a separate third category, which is different from food and different from drugs, which is called like natural medicine or traditional medicine or herbal medicine. And they do have, we do have tests. We have consistency standard requirements so that every capsule has at least 96% consistency between the capsules. So every capsule of extract would have 96% roughly the same amount of beneficial compounds, which again are naturally all occurring from the mushroom. So as far as the standard, what you are bringing in with your product is really not available in the exact same way in North America. And there are other species, and their species do all kinds of things. Species of mushrooms do other kinds of things, but for immune awakening, this is the best. And this is not a subjective opinion. It is really leaning on research, which shows about for what we call immune modulation, which is to change the function and change the ability of the immune system. This mushroom ranks number one compared to your top 20 medicinal mushrooms. I mean, if you want to talk about mental focus or something, maybe some other species might be better. But when we talk about immune awakening, this is the one. And the reason why that's so important is because you've touched on it again, which is that the next 2 years are going to be the biggest immune battle. They already were, even without this, because of the way we live. Our immune system was really formed at a young age with so much complexity to handle and learn and to deal with threats it hasn't even faced yet. And that's all programmed within us from a young age. But somewhere at a younger and younger age, this programming gets corrupted, and we start to see diseases in children that we've never seen before. We start to see like type 2 adult diabetes in children, which is like we thought was biologically impossible a generation ago, but it is. And it's not only possible, it's common. And so all these things are happening, which points to our immune system as we face the challenges in 2022. Our immune system was not cut out for this type of life. And so even before the pandemic and all the treatments and everything we have to face as a result of that, we were heading for immune crisis. From the food we eat.
Things weren't great before this so-called thing, but right now, as we all know, which people do not get, is stress is the main reason that we get in this mess. I mean, stress causes most autoimmune diseases, which are the body attacking itself. And there's never been a time in our history that we have been under this kind of psychological warfare.
Yes, I think that's a really good, um, that's a very important thing to remember because stress, when we talk about how does the mushroom work, the specific activity is that it cools down the inflammation, and it doesn't cool it down by, say, like pouring water. It cools down the inflammation by telling your body to cool it down. And our body already has ways to control its inflammation response. And it's just that the way we live, especially with the modern and most recent 2 or 3 years of stress, our body's inflammatory response is like that's the first thing we go to. We have no choice. Even if we want to let the body have a non-inflammatory response, our diet and lifestyle and stress is just triggers that right away. And when that happens, it leads to basically everything. I mean, every lifestyle disease we can point to, every chronic disease can trace some part of its existence to inflammation in the body at some point in time, which wasn't properly like taken care of, and something happened on top of the inflammation, and now we have like a lump because a little piece of inflammation wasn't resolved. Then something grew on top of it, and now we've got a bigger lump, and the thing's growing, and then now the thing spreads to somewhere else, and the body's management systems are strained because it's under stress. So stress is serious.
Very serious.
Yeah.
So let's talk about what would the average person do that believes that they are healthy? So how would they take it? Right? They would be taking
The vital life.
the
Yeah.
Vital Life,
So I
right?
think, yeah, the easiest way to think of it is really like we are we're all at different stages of our health bar. If we think of our life as a video game, when we have like a, an 100, and it's getting lower and lower as we get older and we do different things with our life. I mean, that is down to the person to assess like where are they on their health bar, and not only like am I living and breathing, but I'm actually having a good quality of life. Can I go and run with the children without having my hips and knees, all these signs of vitality and things like that. So the first thing to ascertain would be like, where is someone's health? And something like even skin issues or recurring digestive issues like gas, these are all signs of an immune system that's not really doing its best thing. So in that regard, one has to find out where they are, and then it's quite simple, which is really, there's only two choices. If you need to take uh, restorative action, or like reparative action to repair something that you've damaged or imbalanced,
Right.
then you go for the critical care. If you're just already living a pretty balanced life with very low signs of immune stress, then the vital life is more for maintenance. So it's really, question is, are you a maintenance person or are you a fix me now person? And depending on which, where that person is in their journey, that's basically the difference between the two products. They're exactly the same species, but they're different. They're extracted in different ways, and they're different, different age and different, like, I would say, different age of the mushroom, which allows it to have a different chemical composition. So they're exactly the same, 100% natural, but the way that they're formulated is going to have a slightly different effect. So the
Right.
restorative ones would be more for people who have like inflammatory linked issues. So this can be something as simple as like psoriasis or eczema, or persistent indigestion, which is, all signs pointing to chronic inflammation in the body. So that would be something more worthy of the critical care. Or even, see things like chronic illness such as cancer, diabetes type 1 or type 2, type 1 being the autoimmune, other types of autoimmune conditions. These would all be in the critical care area. And then in the vital daily, you have more about keeping the immune system strong, keeping the immune system resistant to, your normal things,
Yeah,
which we are told.
taking your immune system to the gym every day and just keeping it toned up.
I mean, we're told that if we don't get these things or these things or these things, we're all going to die, right? But that's not the case, because I can tell you where I live in Thailand, our V rates are very low, and they were low when everything just passed right through. And it doesn't take a genius to know that actually most of the people with their natural born immune system were fine. And that's exactly what we did out here in Asia. Most countries, except for Japan and Korea, like where they have the V everywhere, The rest of Asia, we didn't have it. We just kind of, I mean, got on, had natural stuff, and the numbers were very as expected of anything. So, I don't want to get into too many like specific claims, but there were quite a number of cases where people didn't have access to even the therapeutics or hospitals, and they were just taking the critical care between 25 to 40 capsules a day when they had symptoms as well. And they had a very, basically it stopped the inflammation response from becoming worse. And, that's the path to serious damage from all these like respiratory illnesses, is when the inflammation becomes, whether it's this or SARS or whatever it is, like once the inflammation becomes systemic, you're going to have some serious issues. So anything that can tell your body to turn that fire off, cool that fire, cool that flame, is potentially life-saving. So that's how the cooling effect from the critical care can really be very powerful.
Yeah, and the reality is that most people do not understand body talk, and if you did, you would never be in an autoimmune response like this. And understand something, autoimmune means the body's attacking itself, but the problem is that you were never taught body talk, so you didn't understand that your symptoms were not evil things. It was your body crying out for help, but you never came. And just like any relationship, if you don't want to look after the relationship and listen, then it ends in divorce. Well, this one ends in disease, and it could very well take you down.
It's like you're about body talk. It's like if you're driving a car and your engine is making all sorts of funny noises, right? And but your your gas meter still says full. So you okay? Well, hey, the meter says fine, everything's fine. No emergency lights, but there's this really weird sound. But you know what? They told me on the radio that as long as my petrol is fine and I've got no emergency lights on, my car's fine.
Right.
And so it's like ignoring the obvious instinct that something's wrong here. I need to pull over and check it out because someone told you that as long as the meter says it's not on E, you're good to go. And you keep driving, and then the car is out of gas and blows up a little bit. But that's kind of how many people live as far as their health. Like until we get to that point of
until it's broken, why should we care?
Exactly, and that's really that's what doctors are paid to do, is step in when you're actually broken, and give you some suggestions on how to fix the broken. But it's sort of like, well, how did I get here to begin with? Like, why did I get all the way down to E without thinking about I should do something preventive? So that's, I think, where your mission really is very important. It's to encourage people, impress upon them that like no one's going to think about your health except for you. I mean, that you are the one that even when you take the mushrooms, I can't sit here and say that the mushrooms are doing the work. It's actually your immune system that's doing the work, and your mushrooms were just the ignition that started.
They were the catalyst.
Yeah, it's the catalyst, but like you have to do the actual work. I mean, your body has to do the thing. It takes time. There might be some healing crisis. You might have to actually give up the toxins that you've been feeding yourself with without realizing that was contributing to these chronic issues. I mean,
like change your habits. You might even have to change your habits or who you hang around with. There you go.
Absolutely. Your inputs will change your outputs, but improve your inputs, improve your outputs, for sure.
Yark, do we have anybody on Zoom? And just know this, you can come on Zoom if you want to ask Oliver anything live. What? Yeah, we're live. Yeah, we're live.
Oh, I thought we were filming. Okay, great.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So there you go.
Live at midnight, at 1 a.m. Great. Okay.
Yeah. Well, only for you. All right. So we don't have anybody on Zoom, but if we did, okay. So just know. Okay. So let's take a look and see what. Do we have any questions? Go ahead, though. Is there anything else that you want to talk about the shrooms that set them apart, or anything that you think people should know?
I think the one also thing to remember is that all these health issues that we see as symptoms, the flip side of it is anti-aging. So a lot of people who take the thundershrooms for a couple of years, they take them to fix some problem, and then after 2 or 3 years, they start looking a lot younger. And the reason for that is because the things that cause you to look old are the same things that cause your body to actually get old and start to have this wear and tear at a younger and younger age. So whilst it just might look like someone's anti-aging, they're actually the mushroom is helping them to anti-age at the cellular level. It means the cells are regenerating faster, and they're, healthy young cells coming out faster in the hair and the skin and in the organs. So whatever is the issue, whether someone needs to take critical care for it, they want to front load the treatment and take it for a few months, and then downgrade to the vital for maintenance. That continued effect is going to be a lifelong of anti-aging. So for me, I take the vital every day. It's actually my birthday right now. Just turned midnight, and I feel like the past few years since I've taken it, I've had a lot of checks, and I just went for one recently, and yeah, things are looking pretty good. So it's a beneficial side effect of taking the mushroom for sort of immune
Did you say
restoration.
it was your birthday today, like tonight?
Yeah, it's just turned half an hour ago. So you're the first person I'm seeing too.
Happy birthday
Thank,
to you.
thank you. I
Happy birthday,
appreciate
Oliver.
that.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was the main thing I wanted to share.
Oh,
Is that
listen. Somebody wants to know how old you are.
I will say I'm closer to 40 than 30 today.
Okay, all right. So he's a bit of a secret agent, okay? Okay, so Elena says, can people who have an issue of processing glutamate take these mushrooms?
Glutamate.
Yeah, I
Did
don't
you say
know. I don't know why
glutamate?
she's asking that, but yeah.
I know that's a good question, because glutamate is an amino acid which you
Yeah.
can find in many medicinal mushrooms. And a good question, because inside the thundershrooms are 19, I think 19 or 20 of the amino acids. And that's one of the reasons why they are so powerful. Now, if she has a specific glutamate intolerance, that might be problematic, but it would be really be specific to know what is the nature of her intolerance, because for other people who have had food intolerances, like in my own case, I had shellfish allergy, and I took the mushroom, which basically made that go away. Now it's a different thing inside the shellfish, which is not glutamate. So it might
Well, she
have
wants to
a
know, are the products gluten and dairy free?
gluten. Oh, yeah, of course, yeah, yes, gluten
Yeah,
and dairy.
yeah,
They
that's
are, yeah.
all.
Sorry, I thought you meant the amino acid. Yes, they are 100%, and they're grown they are grown wild. So there's no other nothing else added. 100% wild from the tree, just in a special part of the special forest, which is
Uh,
just grown where these mushrooms are let to grow wild. Yeah, nothing
Good.
else inside.
Annette says, is this a 1 or 2 per day maintenance or more? And I guess she wants to know specifics, but we kind of talked about that, but maybe you can just kind of touch on it.
This species you can take up to like 50, 60 capsules a day if you wanted to, but for most people, for sort of general guidelines, between two would be better for most people starting out. I take 1 to 2 per day, but for the first 2, 3 years, I took around 4 per day, and because of I know my lifestyle that I've lived hasn't been necessarily the cleanest. So
But that is the
yeah,
rule of thumb, like I tell everyone, is
sure,
at the beginning, you go in harder, okay? Because you want to bring in that vibration that's going to clear out a lot of the
right,
lower vibrational toxins. Guys, can you
yes,
bring me up on the screen, please?
yeah.
So anyways, so you want to get rid of the heavy metals. You want to get rid of those lower vibrational things in the body. You want to clear
So
out the
actually,
parasites. So, you go a little
that's the
heavier at the beginning.
Yeah, I'm drinking the detox tea right now, and this actually, it all works really well together, because especially when we first come to your products, yeah, the detox system is usually not the best, right? So when we combine all these things together, like I also take the fibro clear, I take a couple of other things, and I find they work really well together with the mushroom. I just had a couple like sample test urine and stool samples, and my toxins are pretty good. So definitely works. You want to just front load that high vibrational stuff and get I mean, think of it. You probably have years of exposure to, I mean, like the crappy paints inside the cheap furniture that you get from, like those fumes are toxic. They leave plastic residues in our body when we breathe them in, and maybe they're in our home for 20 years, right? So we've been drinking something in the water, which some metal which accumulates and doesn't really go out of our body. So I mean, when we come to the world of taking action, we come at who knows how bad we really are inside. So it really benefits to take strong action, combine it with other things, lifestyle change, to remove the input, and then the commitment later is going to be a lot less as far as what you need to take. I mean, right now I take 2 or 3 supplements only, whereas before I was taking a much bigger range just to kind of get myself up to speed.
You really should think about, if you haven't done a lot of detox, that taking the daily cleansing tea, if you're going to go a little bit harder on things to really detoxify and bring your immune system up, just remember something: you got to get the cork out, and the tea will work on the colon, the liver, the lymph, okay, the kidneys and the bloodstream. So you might want to consider just opening up the valves, because the mushrooms are really going to start kicking butt on a cellular level, and you don't want to back up traffic.
Yes, absolutely. Like you don't want to put the mushrooms to work on crap. Like you want to let it to do the good. Like you get that old stuff out. You know, the tea and the coffee, and like have your tea and coffee. That's like a running joke I have in the family. Like they have tea and coffee. But talking about the detox tea and a coffee enema. But this is like physically getting that old stuff out. And once that's out, it's like you're not wasting the mushroom's healing potential on stuff that's going to be out of you soon anyway. It's really getting to work on the new cells, the healthy cells. So you get more, you get more bang for your buck. If you say you get better value for your money, if you're taking the mushrooms, the cleaner you are, then it will have a more powerful effect.
Arena says, hi, I'm sorry I'm late, but what kind of mushrooms are these again?
They're called Phellinus, Phellinus, and in Korean they're called Sanghwa. So you will find them, or you could search for them in Japanese called Meshima. And so they're not very commonly referred to in English, which is why Daryl has coined them thundershrooms.
Yes, Amy says, does this help with gut health?
Absolutely. So I'll probably get more into the science of it next episode, but the main thing to remember is that hormones are the body's message system, right? It's like how we send messages to each other. So even something like gut health or GI function, that maybe it's something chemical imbalance in there, but also it could be the messaging system, and your digestive hormones are not being created in a balanced way, or all kinds of things can happen at the hormonal level before it even gets to the physical level of stuff that's in the imbalance inside your gut. So what the mushroom really helps with is it's like tuning the radio. It's like you turned on the radio, your body's trying to send these chemical messages. I've got no more hunger. I've got to create the ghrelin. I've got to make some other hormones to send a message over here. But the receiver is staticky. It's like, so the mushroom kind of acts to tune the receiver a bit and make the signal clearer, so that when your body sends its chemical messages via hormones, the messages are arriving more intact, more efficiently. So you basically, your functions just improve.
Okay, now, how many mushrooms are in a bottle? Well, there's 60 in both, right? There's 60 in the vital care and the critical care. And the next thing is just so you know, Nell, our prices were a little bit off, and we changed them just before we went on the show because whoever put the prices up didn't do it right. So they are less than they were, but understand something, Nell. Nell says, looks like next product will be $995. And Nell, listen to me. We're telling you right now that we have these things priced that we are making a profit, but we are not making a big profit. We are not like a pharmaceutical company. We're not ripping anybody off. I already told people, you have a choice of hundreds of different mushrooms that you can buy that, you'll be much better at buying, love, because the reality is that we have these priced at a place that, guess what's going to happen? Whether you want to believe this or not, I had a shipment come in, and that shipment cost me $175 with FedEx. I brought another shipment in, and that shipment cost me $690 with FedEx. Now we're told that the next shipment might be double. So understand something. We will try to do the best that we can, but guess what? Everything's going to go through the roof the next 2 years because it's supposed to look like the world's in trouble. Okay, and understand something. It's corporations and the psycho-rich that own all these corporations, and they're in cahoots with the evil entity to prove that, guess what? This is just the way it is. Like there's no, didn't you notice, everyone, that 5 years ago they stopped in the oil fields in Canada. They stopped producing any oil. Why? Because they knew that 5 years later, we have to make sure that it looks like there's no oil. Just know that there's just one place in Texas that is a county that could actually has enough oil in it to be mined out for the next 20 years for the whole of the United States. So everything's an illusion. So everyone, I'm not going to really feel bad when you start telling me how we're ripping you off. And you know what? We'll be lucky if we can get lids and bottles. So I had to clean out my whole bank account and go right into debt to make sure that we get enough products, because you know what, we're going to be doing even another sale prior to when we feel the sniff of the lockdown, because they're going to even stop shipping in the United States and Canada. You think I'm kidding? So the reality is we're all trying to do our best here, Nell. So just so you know, sweetheart, nobody's ripping you off. We're not a pharmaceutical company. And the reality is this, the price is going to even go higher. If I would suggest to people to buy a year's supply of whatever you believe in, not from me, don't do it from me because I don't want it, but go to someone else and buy a year's supply of nutritional things for your family and yourself, and you will not regret it. Every nutritional company is going to double in price with their products, okay, because they're going to have to, or they're not going to get them to you, because guess what? We do not control this world. And everything, right from the label to the cap, to the shipping, to the product. And understand something, whether you believe it or not, I know that I work with people that really want to help humankind. And I wouldn't work with anybody else. So let me make this pretty clear to everyone. Don't buy my product, go to someone else. The reality is this. Okay, I live at the World Healing and Training Center, and I live in a 1-bedroom, okay, little condo of 400 square feet, okay?
He does, I've seen it.
Yes, and so the reality is everything I have has gone back into this business. And the reality is guess what? We don't know what's gonna happen, but at the end of the day, I'm gonna have to look at people in the eyes. At the end of the day, I'm gonna have to look at that which I believe in, and I'm gonna have to do that. So understand, let's make this perfectly clear before you start beating me up. I didn't cause the fire, but we're going to try to get the fire to come down in your body. Yes.
I think that there's something really, which I can maybe share some with your listeners.
Yeah.
I've seen the inside of the sort of medicinal, the industry, and I've just finished my master's in anti-aging and regenerative medicine.
Sure.
I've seen the cost prices of, drugs and things, and let me tell you that the markup that if Darryl were to bring his business model to any of these mainstream drug companies, they would tell him, you get out of, don't waste my time with these margins. This is not how you run a drug company. And that's right. That's not how he runs a drug. He runs his company to help people and to just make sure he can basically keep the lights on in his tiny studio apartment. So the pricing model of drugs is just extraordinary. I mean, the markup of the cost of the raw material that goes into your average drug is tens of thousands in many cases higher than the actual cost of the raw material. So, but in this case, we're talking about raw material that itself is a very highly prized item. And just to share with you, over in Thailand, the raw material which the THUNDERSHROOMs is made from is being booked by the warehouse, by the people who take it, and they're worried that he's going to run out of supply. So they're actually reserving, I want 3 tons, this warehouse. He's selling it by the warehouse now for the future. It's exactly what you said, because they're thinking, right, I need to take 1,000 bottles for myself in the next 10 years. I've got 14 relatives. I need oh my God, I need a ton for the next 20 years. And say, Dr. Frank, I want a ton. And so, I mean, basically, like, there's the demand is there. And to Daryl's point, planning now is important because we don't know, not just not just this mushroom, but supply chains, shipping. We talked about the shipping. Why did it take 6 months since the last time Daryl and I spoke about this? There's a lot of things that had to happen in order for us to get this across over there, and that takes time. Takes things to we to figure things out, and that will likely be difficult again.
Well,
Even more so.
it's going to be more difficult. It's going to be more
Right.
expensive. Listen, when I tell you this, please don't buy my products. Go somewhere else. But you need to store up for the next 12 months of anything that you believe is supporting you and your family in the way of food, drink, okay, or nourishment. End of story. That's the look at the end of the day, I don't care if I'm wearing a fig leaf, I've got coconuts, okay, I can go fishing. Everybody here's got a garden. I can walk down the street and feed myself just even on the main street. There's things growing everywhere that we can eat here in Mexico. At the end of the day, you know what? The people that are really caught on materialism are going to get slammed. They're going to get slammed really bad. Go ahead, my friend. Let's get back to the mushroom land.
Well, I think that's a good place to leave it because we are at a time where we have to value what's most important. And
Yeah.
with health, immune system is, if you're going to start prioritizing what's, if I had to cut back on all my regimen, what are the top 3 or 4 things I have to take every month? For me, the mushroom is definitely in there, and I take a couple of Daryl's products and I have my own ranking system of which the ones I think I really can't live without. But as far as overall immune health, the mushroom really covers it all, covers just general immune maintenance. And I mean, I haven't been sick in 5 years now. I mean, I haven't taken medicine for anything. I had a physical injury once a few years ago, but other than that, I haven't gotten cold medicine or anything. And I live in a polluted city in Asia, right? And I'm in crowded public transportation all the time. So my immune system, I feel, is very, very strong just from taking the regular one and keeping a moderately good diet. I follow a lot of the one a day type of stuff, and nothing too crazy, nothing too hardcore. But when we talk about valuing things or people who are materialistic, like we need to be valuable with what we choose for our health, and we have to choose not the extraneous things. I don't need this cream which someone told me is going to do something on me. I need the things that are really going to have a systemic impact and something at the hormonal level, like the mushroom, or something that
Sure.
wakes up your hormones, right? This is more impactful way to spend sort of budget and your body's effort.
Elizabeth, can I open a capsule and put it in my hot chocolate for a child?
Yes, absolutely. That's a great question, and I would have gotten that on the next call. But for children, so quick point, but very important point, is that a lot of our adult issues, they start young, and we know the food we feed our kids now. Just think about what is in your average grocery store, like carrot versus a few generations ago. Nutrients aren't there, but maybe the toxins are there in the double the amount. So from a young age, whilst we might not have said children should take this before, now yes, they actually probably should. And so what we recommend is, especially people living in urban environments. We here in Thailand, and we have a lot of people in Hong Kong and Taiwan, Singapore, who take it. And so all cities, urban living. So they absolutely, they take the capsule, they open it up, they split. If they have 2 kids, they put half in one kid's drink and the other in the others, and they mix it with their food. And there's also some older generation folks, they don't like to take capsules, or they can be hard to swallow. So in that case, you just break up you open the capsule, which is a vegetarian, not gelatin, but vegetarian capsule. You just open it up and put the mushroom inside a liquid, and they can drink it. Yeah.
And what about taste? She wants to know, will it taste bad? So for the kids, or
Okay, so there is a earthy taste to it. It is a mushroom from a tree, so it has a bit of woody taste, I would say, but it's not some like bitter. Like you can very easily mix it into your food without making it taste horrible. It's not like some very smelly herb. It's just a bit earth. It's almost like, the black gold, kind of similar. It's not really any more earthy than say that.
Well, the black gold, yeah, it makes things taste better. So I guess a little bit of earthy doesn't matter, and especially
Yeah,
if it
a little
has
bit earthy.
flavor already, it'll be hidden.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Marl, how are the mushrooms sustainable if they are aged so much? I joined in late. So she wants to know if they're 30 to 90 years old, are we going to run out of mushrooms on trees?
That's also a good question. When I asked the doctor when I first met him, and he said, "Oh, you haven't seen my forest." So, because they're wild grown, and you're right, that takes a lot of space to grow them. But the number of people on the earth who are actually actively doing this is still very small for the amount of space that we have. So, for I would say our lifetime and the next, that's not a concern.
Okay, Mashawn, what are the reaction or side effects of taking the thundershrooms?
Okay, great question. So we won't really consider side effects in the sense that if you take some drug, you might have an allergic reaction. What the mushroom might do, however, is alert your body to an area that you didn't know was an issue. So back a long time ago, when in Chinese medicine they used to use this species of mushroom as almost like a medical detective. When someone would go to the healer,
Good.
they would say, "Healer, I don't know what's wrong with me. I'm not feeling 100%," and they would give them the mushroom, like a very high concentration of the liquid, and they would drink the mushroom, and then they would feel a burning like in their liver or in their upper abdomen, and okay, that's the area that we need to go and investigate. So in that regard, there could very well be a reaction, which is a way of your body feedback saying there's something happening here. This is the area where construction is undergoing. And so for some people, that can be very uncomfortable. And especially there's one area in particular, which is the kidneys. So people who have, weak or chronic kidney disease, that has been the only time in, over 50 odd different uses I've seen for the mushroom. The only one where someone said, "I have to stop because the pain is too much," was in the kidneys. He was bracing over in pain because his kidneys. And I thought
Well,
that's
that's
why
only
you should
because the kidneys were actually cleansing. So,
well, that's what I said to him. I said, "Please, this is the time to not. You got to push through it, man." And
do you know what he
you're
would have
almost
done? Do you know what? If he would have taken my clapper and just
yeah.
lightly clapped his kidneys, he would have made the block move and it'd be gone. People don't get that. So it's the energy from the shrooms trying to get rid of a block, and the pressure's building up. And if you clap, just like if I put water in a jar and I shake it, if I clap the area and create vibration, I move things along and the block moves out.
This was before I met you, which is unfortunate for him. But I completely agree. It's that he was blocked, and you could see it physically. He couldn't move. He was so just ready to get that stuff out,
That's
but he
what
didn't.
stiffness is. Stiffness,
Yeah.
pressure, pain, inflammation, swelling, it's all blocks. Every one of it's a block and everybody needs to get it. You got to get the clapper out. I don't care where it is in your body.
So
Amy. Okay, no, go
that's
ahead,
painful
Oliver.
though.
What?
But Daryl, that's painful for a lot of people. So they might consider
Oh
that a
no, then
side
just
effect.
stay in pain for a few hours or clap it for 5 to 10 minutes and there's your relief.
Yeah,
You
it's
know, the
true.
problem is we've all been programmed to be just survivors, not thrivers. We've been programmed to be victims and not the hero of our story. We've been programmed that we don't have the ability or the courage to see or live in the present moment. Amy, so these mushrooms clear parasites and bad bacteria from the gut?
So they will over time. Yes, basically, as your
With
body
daily cleansing
becomes
tea, because
yeah.
you gotta move the crap out, guys. You gotta lighten the load, flush the pounds, and let the mushrooms do their thing.
So your body will actually get rid of that stuff by itself if there isn't crap for it to hang on to
Yeah.
inside. So, that's really like once you get that stuff out, your clapping, your diet, and the mushrooms, that's not an issue for it. You don't need to have something specifically for the worms or the parasites if there isn't an environment for them to live in. So yeah.
Beautiful. Pete, is there a limit on the number of critical care Thundershroom bottles one can purchase? Just know this, everyone. You can believe it or not, but you know what? Our first purchase was $200,000. So understand, we're all putting ourselves into this thing. So we just ordered another order right away because we know we have to get it here before September the 1st, okay? Or mid-September, because we may not get it here. So we're on it. So that'll carry us through until at least spring, okay? All right, Pete. So there's no limit. Jody, would you continue taking amino acids if you were taking the thundershrooms?
Yes, I would.
Okay. Here, Yvonne just came in. What kind of mushrooms is this? Can you say it again?
This is Phelinus mushroom.
Thank you. No, this mushroom is not in liquid form. It's in a powder, and it's in a capsule, and you can open up the capsule. You can add it to anything and then take it if you don't want to take the capsule. Okay. A lot of happy birthdays for you there, Oliver.
Thank you, everyone. I appreciate that. Yeah, I will probably get ready to call it a session through Daryl 1:30. Fading out a little bit over here.
Okay, well, I think we're just coming down to see if there's any critical ones, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, is that it? Yep. Yeah, guess what? We finished them. So everybody, we're going to be having Oliver come back on Wednesday at 12 Central Time. So next Wednesday, we're also finishing off the 6-day advanced water fast. Okay, and that will be at 10 Central Time. And then Oliver will be on at noon Central Time, and we'll be right on time so that we can tuck him in bed by 1. Okay, all right?
Thanks. Okay. Thank you, everyone. I appreciate being on and sharing
Good
this
night,
with you.
and happy birthday to you. Okay, all right. Good night, my friend.
You. Good night. See you
Bye
guys
now.
later. Bye-bye.
All right. So, everyone, we do have a sale on the THUNDERSHROOMs. It's 15% off, and the sale will go to a week from today. That's right, a week from today. Yeah. So if you want to try them out, you can try them out. It's 15% off the shrooms, and it's Friday. I know everybody's going to be getting together with family, doing barbecues, going swimming, having a great time. And can you do me a favor? Can you practice saying no to everything that you don't want to do and saying yes to you, and have unconditional love for yourself all weekend, and teach your family that they can do that too, especially your children, okay? What kind of world will the children be living in? I want to know in about 2 years from now. That'll depend on the parents, won't it? Are they going to hold the Braveheart line? Are they going to show that it's okay that you totally love yourself, okay? How much would you like your children to love themselves? 10%, 20%, 100%? Let me ask you. They're not going to if you don't love yourself 100%. So let's make really loving choices this weekend, and every moment. Let's live in the present moment. Let's make really great choices. What would your life be like if you unconditionally loved yourself and you put yourself first and foremost? I want you to think about that. Okay, and I want to thank you for joining me, and just know that it's time to get your Braveheart on. I am love, I am healed, I'm Braveheart. Today and every day, from the moment I rise until I gently close my eyes, I will trust, honor, respect, protect, and forgive, and totally love myself first and foremost before anyone else or anything else. So help me God. Because I am, I can, I'm healed, I am Braveheart. Let me tell you something. There is no authority over you, okay, on this planet. You are the only authority for you. God bless everyone. Take your power back. 3, 2, 1. You got this, Braveheart. You know, it's not good enough to have the most powerful courses, treatments, and training. We want to deliver to you the adventure of a lifetime that's going to last a lifetime. And I'm going to take you on a little adventure right now and show you what we are going to deliver. What are we going to deliver? We are going to deliver the authentic you, the real you, the genius inside. How would you like to become not just the master of your mind, but the master of your body, the master of your life? You know what? The most important world is your world, and we're about to show you how to create it.
Found Dr. Wolf and all his positivity and trying to reshape our way of thinking and help me be a better person, a better mom, better wife. I'm glad I found him in person in Ixtapa, Mexico.
Never limit yourself to beautiful, because that's what you are. Take a look at this beautiful place. We all deserve beauty in our life. You need to create a new program that is unlimited when it comes to things that are beautiful, things that make you happy, things that make you shine, things that make you feel excited. Let's get excited.
This guy's got something really interesting to say and is sharing it really openly and just really not caring what other people think, and I just thought that was really empowering.
What I've learned in my life is this: to be the change you wish to be the change you wish to see, Braveheart, you have to understand you take life one step at a time.
Dr. Wolf, as many people will have seen, is very direct and straight and will take you to the edge of the cliff, as he says, and then pull you back just in time.
Never lose your focus. Never lose your dream, because you are the dream maker. It's called image, but guess what? It's your imagination. The image that you hold creates the thought that you live with. That thought creates an emotion that creates a frequency, and we know that the invisible creates the physical. I mean, that's quite obvious. So be the power that you seek, and understand something, that all your thoughts matter. And guess what? Unless you're willing to take a look at those thoughts and retrain your brain, change your personality, you'll never change your reality, and your reality could become infinite.
He's a wealth of information, and I love it.
You were created by your creator to create. So let's create something amazing together.
I found Dr. Wolf and I went, wow, here's a truth speaker. And he spoke to my soul and he spoke truth.
So tell me what you think of the destination that I came up with my imagination to hold the whole life coach certification for you. Understand something. It's all about beauty. It's all about adventure. It's all about stimulating the mind, okay? And understanding that your mind is unlimited. And that is what the whole life coach certification is all about. In the whole life coach certification, we are going to go deeper. We have people coming to us, professionals coming to us, from doctors to nurses to accountants to oil riggers to mothers that want to expand their life. And when they come here, they go, I need to learn to help my family, or I want to improve my business. But guess what? We get into their business. When they leave, they become the change